Hello my friends, welcome to today's video. I'm Jeanette with Vivo Vintage Designs. Today we're going to be painting a wreath in watercolor, and we're going to keep this really simple. I sketched out a little drawing of what I want my wreath to look like, just so that I keep the design in mind. I'll be using my Muño pan paints, and this is a really great set for the beginner. It has 48 different colors, and the last 4 are metallic colors, and I'll be using those today. I have a variety of brushes in different sizes, some water, a paper towel for blotting, and I'm using a mechanical pencil to sketch in the shape of an oval. It doesn't have to be perfect because we're going to be placing leaves over it, so it's not going to be a perfect oval. Don't worry about that. And this again is going to be really simple. Now you can see that I've mixed a bunch of different greens. I think I have like 6 different greens there, and I've mixed a little bit of the white metallic paint into each of the colors that I've mixed so far, because I want this to be a little bit sparkly. And you can see that I have some peach, and then a deeper orangey peach, and then at the bottom there I have some gold. Now I'm using my large brush to create some of these leaves, and again I'll be switching back and forth between brushes because I want to create different sizes. And creating these leaves is really easy. If you start with the tip of your brush, add a little pressure, and then release the pressure, you'll get the shape of a leaf. Adding pressure to the brush will flatten those bristles and create a little width in the center of your leaf, and then lifting up to the tip will make it narrow again. And you can see that as I create these leaves, I'm keeping this very, very light. So I'm adding a lot of water to the paint. And as I create each leaf, I am dropping in a variety of different colors just to make it a little bit more interesting. And there's really nothing difficult about this. I'll also be adding a flower. That's why I have those peachy colors there. And this flower is really easy to create as well. It's basically using the same technique that you use for the leaves. You can see here I'm creating the bottom petal because this is kind of like a profile. And then I'm using the brush to create some petals. And it's just a 4-petal flower, very, very simple. And once I have it down and while the paper is still wet, I'm adding a little bit of that deeper orange at the base of the petals. And I'm using a smaller brush for this. And you can create whatever kind of flower you like. This is a very simple flower. It's just a couple of brush strokes and you have a flower. I'm going to continue adding some more leaves, and I'm going to go all the way to the top with these leaves, and as I reach the top I'm going to make them a little bit smaller, and I'll also be adding one more smaller flower. And you can see that I'm alternating the colors of the leaves and still dropping in a little bit of the different colors for interest. Now it's going to be a little bit difficult to capture the shimmer in these flowers and leaves by adding the white metallic paint to each of the colors in a picture. But trust me, it's really shimmery and so pretty. And I kept the colors really light. I wanted this to be a soft painting. I didn't want it to be very dramatic. So you can see here I am adding a second flower, and I made this one smaller since I'm reaching the top of my oval. And I used the same exact technique. I did one brush stroke across for the bottom petal that you're looking at the back of that petal, not the inside. and then a couple of swipes of the brush to create the other 3 petals. Now on the other side of this painting, I am going to use the color gold, the gold metallic, to create leaves. And make sure to stick around until the end of the painting, the end of the video, because in true Jeanette style, at the end, once I had finished filming, I thought I needed a little bit of something more. So I added a few circles and dots of the gold and the different shades of green around the leaves and flowers, just to make it look a little bit more interesting. And as usual, all the products used are listed in the description box. If you look below the video, you'll see the title of the video. On the right hand upper side, you will see an arrow. If you click on that arrow, it will expand that box, and there you will see the full list of products and the links. And you can also click on Show More, which will be on the bottom left-hand side of that box just below the video. So here I've connected the leaves to the stem. I've added the stem, and now I'm using a little bit darker color than I did for the leaves to add the central vein to the leaves, just to make it a little bit more interesting and add a little bit of detail. And you can keep this as simple as you like, or you can add as much detail as you like. So here I'm activating the gold. And before I started to mix my colors, I did spray them with a little bit of water just to soften the paint pans so that I can easily pick up the color. And I always use an old brush to mix my colors, because mixing watercolor paints can be a little hard on your bristles of your good brushes. So I suggest you use an old brush. Now here I've picked up the metallic gold paint, and I'm using a small brush to create the vine. And now I'm adding more water and adding a third vine, which you won't even see. So I'm using the same technique that I used on the left-hand side to create the leaves, only I'm doing it with gold paint. And you can see I'm adding more water because I want some of these to be translucent. And I'm switching between brushes to create different size leaves. And of course the gold was not gold enough. So towards the end you'll see that I did use my liquid chrome gold marker to add a little bit more detail. And again, as I reach the top of the wreath, I'm making my leaves a little bit smaller. You can see that I'm also adding smaller leaves in between the larger leaves, just to make it look a little bit fuller. Now I've got my liquid chrome gold marker, and I'm adding little dots to create a center for these flowers. And since I'll be using the marker on the right, I decided that using a little bit of it on the left-hand side would kind of tie it all together. So I'm creating some dots and some little stems to anchor those dots to the center of the flower. And now I'm creating the central vein for these leaves using the gold marker. And this really stands out nicely in the painting. And I didn't overdo it. I used my typical sketchy, skippy little lines. And now I'm adding a few dots with creating some berries. So I switched over to the larger nib liquid chrome gold pen. That's such a long name. And I'm adding some dots, and I'm going to create little berries. And then I switch over to the smaller nib, and I'm connecting those berries with some stems. And I'm going to continue adding the central vein to each of the leaves. And again, using skippy, sketchy little lines so that the gold doesn't overwhelm the painting. And I'm even adding a little bit of the gold to the stems, or rather that vine that I drew in earlier, just here and there. Now I decided, because I can't stop myself, that I wanted to add some of those gold leaves to the other side. So I really diluted the gold with water because I didn't want them to stand out too much. I just wanted it to be a soft addition. And I'm going over some of the green leaves that I already painted, but because the paint is so watered down, it's very translucent and it's a really nice effect. And then, of course, because I added gold to the left side, now I had to add a little bit of green to the right side. So again, I'm using very diluted paint. I don't want these green leaves to stand out too much, just like I didn't want the gold to stand out too much on the left-hand side. So I'm going over some of the gold leaves as well with the diluted green paint. And I think that that ties it all together very nicely. Okay, we're getting close to the end of this video. I hope that you enjoyed it and that you give this a try. If you do, I would love to see how you do. You can share your versions of the tutorials learned on this page and techniques on our Facebook group, Vivo Vintage Design Tutorials. We have a lovely community there with members that are incredibly supportive, and we also have a weekly challenge. So if you're interested in participating, please consider joining our Facebook group. And please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Your interaction with my channel is really helpful, greatly appreciated, and a very nice and simple way to support my channel. All right, everyone. Thank you so very much for watching. I will see you in the next video. I hope you have a great day. Bye.